Can I just do my talk like this?
No, Anshula, you cannot hide on stage.
Really? Why don't you tell that to my 14-year-old self standing right beside me? You know what? I think you're right. I think it's time that her and I both stop hiding. Hi everyone. My name is Anshula Kapoor. Oh, are you looking for my 14-year-old self? You can't see her. And the irony is, she never felt seen. But she's right here with me, watching me tell our story. But before we get into that, there's a little bit of an activity I want to do with you. So, can I do that? Do I have your permission? Okay, great. So, what if I told you to think of the first word that comes to your mind when you want to compliment yourself? Take a few seconds. Think about it. Okay, time's up. I'm going to count to 3 and then I want all of you all to say that word out loud for me. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Calm.
I like it. You really put your thinking hats on. But, you know what? If I told you to compliment the person sitting right next to you, I don't even think you would have taken those additional seconds to come up with a word, right? And that's not your fault, because we've been conditioned like that. We've been conditioned to always think kindly of the person sitting next to us, of the person who is around us. And it would have taken you maybe half a second to come up with a compliment like, oh my God, I love what you're wearing. Oh, you smell so good. You have such a radiant smile. By the way, it looks really good on you. And like I was saying, this isn't your fault because we've been conditioned this way. But the biggest problem is, if we focus so much of our attention on the outside, our kindness on the outside, when are we taking a breath and looking on the inside and complimenting ourselves? When? We don't really do that, do we? My 14-year-old self reminded me very recently of a folder I'd created on my laptop more than a decade ago. I labeled this folder embarrassing stuff. What's in this folder called embarrassing stuff? Or just 38 photos of me, like solo photos. Take a moment to let that sink in. That 14-year-old girl was so embarrassed by her body that she went through her laptop, she found all the photos of herself that she could, she collated them into one folder and then labeled that folder embarrassing stuff. And she didn't come up with those 2 words frivolously. There was thought put behind it. Those 2 words were handpicked by my insecurities about myself. They were vetted by my fear of being laughed at. And they were approved by my coping mechanism of staying hidden. This unholy trio, though, unfortunately for me, didn't stop there. It told me that every morning when I woke up, all I'm going to do is go to school, come back from school, go hide in my room, and emerge only the next day when it was time to go back to school again. It also told me that I must only wear baggy clothes so that nobody can see the shape of my body. It was the best escape plan since Shawshank Redemption, but the only difference was my prison was DIY. As I ventured into my late teen years though, there were some moments when I would decide that, okay, let me be a little bit more social, let me hang out with my friends. But even during those times, and some of those times were really important occasions, like my birthday, my best friend's birthday, even my prom, for example, the one thing that I knew really clearly is that I didn't want to be myself. Now, if that little girl was coming out of her den and she wasn't going to be in hiding anymore for those few hours, and in those hours she can't really change her body, but what can she change? Definitely her hair, because growing up in the early 2000s, the beauty standard, because of the Silky Potion commercials that we saw on TV all the time, was long, straight, shiny, sleeky, black, straight hair. Like the complete opposite of this hair that you see right now. So the first thing to go, always, were my curls. Did I really want straight hair? Or did I just want to fit in with everybody else because everyone seemed to have straight hair? I didn't know that. But what I did know was that my curls kept waiting for me to realize that it was okay for me to be different. It was okay for me to have different hair. Who decides what is acceptable? Who made a certain kind of body or certain kind of hair the norm? We all think these questions, right? But do we really make any decisions to try and change the fabric of our society? We continue to let airbrushed images affect us and affect our self-worth. Do we do anything about it? And who benefits from these standards? Who profits from our insecurities? I mean, I know who, but let's not name brands. Even as I grew up into my 20s, things didn't turn around magically. I didn't have an aha moment. The journey to self-acceptance was long, and my cab driver cancelled thrice. But there was an exciting stop that came in between. So in Jan 2020, right before the pandemic started, I started going to therapy. And in my therapy sessions, I realized very early on, dude, I don't really know myself. I was so ashamed and unhappy by the mirror image reflected back at me of my body that all these years, I never bothered getting to know who I was beyond the physical. I didn't know my likes or dislikes. I didn't know what made me unhappy or happy. So I took the time that the pandemic gave us, because we were all in lockdown, to actually sit down and have a conversation with myself, get to know who I am for the first time in my life, and I was already in my 30s by then. I did one more thing. I tried to view myself through the lens and eyes of everybody I loved. And I liked what I found out. I love the values I believe in. I love the way my brain works. I love the fact that I'm trying to accept who I am for who I am. You know what? I love myself. Yes, you heard that right. This perfectly imperfect 33-year-old standing in front of you today loves herself. During those years though, for the third time, I did one more thing. I tried to focus on my physical body and I tried to become a fitter version of myself. Fitter, not thinner. There's a difference, you forget. But with every kilo that I lost on the weighing scale, I noticed that the numbers didn't really change on the self-acceptance scale. Those remained buried deep under. And that was a whole different journey that I still had to go on. But the thing is, when you start liking who you are as a person, you tend to start being kinder to yourself. And what I realized is that the kinder I was to myself, the more my self-confidence was increasing. And what did that do for me? The increasing self-confidence made me not want to hide anymore. So one day I posted an image perusal on Instagram, and I used the caption for that perusal to talk about my insecurities and talk about how I want to make a promise to my body that I'm going to be kinder to her as well. I'm going to read out the entire caption for you because you can't really see the whole thing here. Dark circles, stretch marks, cellulite, soft belly, loose skin, love handles, white hair, wrinkles. I am learning to love it all. This body has helped me survive 30 years. She's helped me heal. She's helped me breathe. She's helped me show love and receive love. She's helped me live through grief, pain, joy, and everything in between. She's been with me through emotional eating food binges, and she's also survived through every fad diet I've put her through. She's helped me survive through nights and nights of insomnia, And she's also helped me experience happiness in so many little and big ways. She's fought her way back from every physical and mental setback. She's literally a visual depiction of my life so far, and I am grateful for her in more ways than I can count. She has expanded with and shrunk with me so that she could accommodate everything I was going through, mentally and physically. The least I can do is appreciate her in all her glory, her good and her bad. So even on the days that I get frustrated with her limitations, I am going to continue to love her. I am going to continue to listen to her and treat her the best I know. Loving her and accepting her is so very new to me. I've gone through years and years of being ashamed of her, and I've neglected her. But I'm trying to be done with that and show her grace and kindness and respect. Because even though I am more than just my body, in so many ways, she is what makes me, me. But here's the thing though, I didn't do this for external validation. I didn't even do this because I wanted somebody to applaud me. I did this almost like a diary entry for myself. This was me just trying to embrace who I am, perhaps for the first time, and just show my vulnerabilities by being authentic. But little did I know that by doing that, I was creating a safe space for others. For every entry that I make on my open and public platform where I talk about my fears, my insecurities, my bodies, there's a little girl somewhere in the world who identifies with me. And she knows that even if in the media or on the internet she can't see anybody else looking like her, there are still people that look like her. There are still people who are always going to be in her corner. There is that camaraderie. By bearing my scars, it gave others the courage to feel like they can reveal their own. And in doing that, we found solace and strength in our shared vulnerabilities. This was us creating a safe space for each other, a place where we all felt seen, even if it was just a platform like Instagram. But what can a platform like Instagram even do? I mean, I can tell you what it did. What it did was send me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages. Each message a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles. It's okay to be broken sometimes. And there is so much power in being vulnerable. But did all this mean that I had conquered all my fears and I was on the top of my game and all of that? Not at all. That's not what this was all about. So here's a huge spoiler alert for you. Self-acceptance is not a one and done deal. Have you all been to an arcade where they have that game of whack-a-mole where you know that one frog comes up and you hit it on the head, then one more frog comes up, you hit it on the head, then one more comes up and then on and on and on and on you go? Yeah, self-acceptance is like that game of whack-a-mole. Because every single time you feel like you've conquered a vulnerability or a fear and you whacked it in the head, a new one will pop up right then and take its place. There are still days where I feel like I'm soaring on the wings of self-love. But then those days are immediately followed by days where I feel like I'm barely being able to even trudge through the murky waters of self-loathing and self-doubt. And that's okay now. Because I have now learned that I can have a better day because I can lean on my community, both online and offline. But what is a community? Yeah, it is a beacon of hope amidst all of the chaos that self-doubt brings with it. Yes, it's even a safe place where you can understand and believe that you are not alone. There are other people who will hold your hand if you need that to happen. But most importantly, a community can be a catalyst for change, where you can challenge beauty standards and create a much more inclusive space. So I say this again, a community is so much more than a collection of individuals. It is a safe space. It is a place where you can feel valued, and it is a place where you can try and create change. But this change has to start from you. And as I stand here today, reflecting on my journey from self-doubt to self-acceptance, I can tell you that my 14-year-old self and the version of me standing here right now, we don't feel alone anymore. We also don't feel the need to hide anymore. And that is because we have a community to lean on. But as I walk further on this path, I realized that this journey is not just about self-acceptance and self-love. It is about transforming our world into a place that is more empathetic, that is more accepting, and that is more authentic. Because the power of human connection will always lie in the fact that we can drive positive change. We may come from different walks of life. We may have faced our unique struggles and our unique triumphs. But at the end of the day, aren't we all just searching for the same thing? Don't we all just want to be loved and accepted and seen for who we actually truly are? Thank you.